So, how did you watch TripleMania? Where did you see it? On what platform or what?
English version Twitch with that was that I had no idea that was Joe Dombrowski.
Yeah.
With he did that. Actually, the announcing was all right. It's just Lucha is a difficult thing to call because it's like guys are constantly in motion and stuff. And everything. It's like they're all over the place. So it's kind of like you gotta call the action if there's like a storyline point you want to talk about. It's like you have to talk about it over all these guys doing a bunch of stuff out there. It's like it's very difficult, kind of like in a lucha match, to pick your spots, like where guys selling and you're like, because you don't know you never know what's coming next in these things.
Right.
So the diving all over the it's like you can start talking about something. Next thing you know, it's like some guy dives out the ring. You're like, oh. So
what did you think of the announcing?
Decent.
Yeah. All right. And what did you like? What didn't you like? Or any comments? Or what did?
I gotta be honest with you. I popped huge when you and Vamp started slugging it out.
Right.
And I popped when you got in the ring and you just kicked the guy in the balls.
Right.
That's like who does that?
Who?
Raven.
Raven.
Bro, you and Raven would make a great tag team because like you guys are like old. You're like 50. But you guys could like literally go in the ring and just like kick the guy in the balls and pull out a foreign object and just start like jabbing a guy in the throat with it and stuff and everything. Like it would be pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Like if you and Raven did
that was a great moment because first of all, nobody knew I was going to come into the ring, so that was a surprise, and there was absolutely nobody thought Vampiro was going to come out, and they didn't expect that ending, and it got a humongous pop, so that was great.
Did you have a Hitler? What was your shirt?
Trump.
That was supposed to be Trump. It looked like Hitler. Was it supposed to look like Trump looking like Hitler?
No, from afar it does look a little bit like Hitler, like in the pictures that you sent. But when you're there live, it's Trump. And plus in the back it says Mexico is for nacos. So basically it says Mexico is for like low class citizens, and they knew exactly that's something Trump would say.
So you went in there and just insulted the Americans and embraced yourself.
I insulted the Mexicans, yeah. Yeah, right. Well, there's no better heat than Trump, bro.
Right.
So,
who was the girl that did the spot? Did she get hurt for the girl that missed the ladder?
No, thank God, no. Chica Tormenta, bro. This is how tough that chick is. There was a match, might have been Laredo Kid, I'm not sure who it was, who did a 450. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This was on TV, landed on her jaw, dislocated her jaw, and she came back and wrestled the next day. They just fucking put it back into place. Jeez. And now she missed the ladder. Boom, right?
Right.
And I saw her backstage, and I ran to go see, and she was all right. She was very lucky.
That was good. I mean, that was bad. I wasn't a fan of the guy diving off that. I mean, they're just gonna do it, but like. Bro, when you dive that, even if the guys are catching you, when you dive from that high and you're 200 pounds, I mean,
he's not 200 pounds.
Well, he's 170 pounds. Okay,
maybe.
Think about if somebody was dropping 170
bro, I know,
pounds
I thought
of dead.
Bro, I didn't even want that to happen again. And when I got to the production meeting, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this really elaborate thing where he's coming down, and then because he's known for dives, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the first time something went wrong, and all it takes is one time." Right. And I would hate to have it on my conscience. Something happened to him, God forbid, like Owen Hart, obviously wasn't that high. Or, bro, the last time when he fell, that time that you saw
he had
a humongous, like,
hematoma
on his head. Like, his head was humongous. And I was like, bro, I can't have you do that again. And when I got to the production meeting, they're like, yeah, we got this thing we're going to do. It's a really special entrance, and he wants to do it. And I was like, all right, fuck it,
I mean, if the other guys are willing to catch him, it's like fine. Yeah. But I mean, that's a high level of trust, and I mean, bro, it can go. I mean,
I know, bro. It was not. I was not easy watching that. Thank God it came out good. But the great thing about it is, like that day, the channel we're on is Channel 7, TV Azteca Channel 7. They own a couple stations, and our biggest competition there is another company called Televisa. Now, we used to be in Televisa for 25 years, okay? Mm-hmm. So it was huge news when we left, okay? Mm-hmm. And not only was the Lucha Libre show was on live, I don't know if I had told you that. It was on live over the air TV, not cable. And so it was the highest rated show of the night, and it was higher rated than any show on our competition. So it did great. You know, I'm sure you liked. I'm sure you were impressed, even though you trained with him, with Cain Velasquez.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I actually texted Cross and said, "Hey, tell Cain you did great."
He did.
Because I had seen. Here's the only thing though is and I guess this is what people do not understand, and like because Cain wants to do Lucha Libre.
Right.
So he's been training with Vinny Massaro.
Right.
He's been, I mean, from what he's told you, does Cain want to maybe like be a regular AAA performer?
He didn't say AAA performer, but he loves wrestling. And this is like, because I asked him, I go, where did this idea come from you wanting to wrestle? He goes, I don't know. I've always been a wrestling fan. I liked it. And he goes, and I put it in my contract. And Dana White didn't like it at the beginning. He said, but he's let other people do it. Why isn't he letting me do it? Right. And his attitude, bro, was incredible. He came to work every day. He called me on days when we weren't even supposed to work. And he was like, hey, man, I want to get in the ring and do, because I had to go to Mexico early. And he went to Mexico early just to train. Well, and he was so professional. It was refreshing, because most of the guys that you work with, they think it's easy. They're like, oh, I'll just go in the ring and fucking, that's easy.
Let me give a perfect example. So I've trained. I've trained with Bonner. I've trained Baroni. I've trained with Cain. Right. Bonner, very easy to work with. Right. Baroni, no problem with him. But he's one of you know these people. Right. He's one of those guys like where you're telling him something. He's like, yeah. I know. Right. One of those guys. Like yeah. I know. Right. When I was doing with Cain, you have his undivided attention. Right. When you're talking, he's just like very attentive, listening to everything you say, and just very like and absorbing information and going out and executing it. Right. And I was like, wow, this guy's good. Like I said, bro, like when we trained him that day, I was like, I couldn't believe how much we did in like 2 hours. Right. It's like I told him, bro, you forego like a month of training in your first like 15 minutes here.
But what's funny to me is like, you would think that people know me enough by now to know if there's one guy who don't give a fuck telling the truth, even if he gets heat, is me, right? Mm-hmm. And like when I was putting Cain over, everybody go, "Oh, you're just putting him over because you have to put." And I'm like, "Nah, motherfucker, I'm putting him over because he's good. I'm watching his training tapes. Just even when I was doing that thing yesterday, which we may allude to later, when I got into that discussion with Ryan Satin on Twitter, he goes, "Well, I supported you when you were in AAA." He goes, "And I support," and I'm like, "Hey, motherfucker, when I was in AAA, I was bearing the company while I was still there." Right. I mean, I have no problems telling you if I'm not comfortable somewhere. I never have and I never will. I got fired. You were there, Disco. I got fired from WCW while I was in one of the greatest moments of my career for burying them on USA Today, USA, the newspaper. I buried Eric. I buried Kevin Nash. I buried everybody that I felt needed to be buried. And I ended up getting suspended without pay. And my push was decreased. So that's why when people say, oh, well, you're just saying this and I'm the wrong guy to be playing that fucking game with, because I'm going to tell you how I feel. I would have said, hey, Cain's going to be a project. I might have been more diplomatic. Cain's going to be a project. He's got to learn, which is true. But he went in there when I saw what he did with you, and you saw it, what he did with you and what's this guy, Cross in the training. That was special, bro. Yeah. That was special when he was training with Vinny Mazzaro, Ultimate Panda. Shout out to him for helping train him. When he was sending me I was like, Jesus Christ, look at this guy. And then when he came to Mexico and he trained with me and the boys, I was like, this guy's fucking incredible. But getting back to your question, he told me he loves wrestling. He wants to get into wrestling. I go, how many fights do you have left with UFC? He said 2. I go, do you think you're going to do them? He goes, if they're fights that are interesting to me, yeah, sure. He goes, I just got to make sure my knee's 100%. Because as you remember what happened to his fucking knee, and now he's got like a knee brace on. Right. But we actually sat down, bro. This is how cool he is. We sat down, now that I remembered. He came to my hotel like at around 10 o'clock at night. He was half an hour away. Mm-hmm. He came to my hotel at 10 o'clock at night, and we sat down and we watched videos. And I was telling him, look at this, look at that, look at this. And we watched Ronda Rousey's debut. I go, look at what they did with Ronda. And he was just totally impressed and just a sponge. And he wanted to learn. And he was emotional and he was motivated. And he was a fucking pleasure to work with. As a matter of fact, let's get him on the show. Just give me your overall impression and any other notes you want to give me about TripleMania.
TripleMania. I was a big fan of I was a big fan of Blue Deep. You know what I liked about that match?
Yeah,
is that, bro? This is how you know you're in a feud, and this is how and this is what Jeff Jarrett had always told me. Okay, he said you watch, and for people that don't know, Jeff is still one of the most intelligent guys at laying out a show. You know, like which matches to put. Like you do too. But Jeff always used to tell me. Like when I wrestled him in TNA, and we wrestled for that when I was wrestling for the TNA world title, when I had that match against him, and it was a main event. Like he was talking about, hey, we got to start off like this, and he always told me, he goes, bro, WWE main events. He goes, if you watch the main events, he goes, because the crowd, it's the show has been long and something. You watch the matches, they usually start off hot. Like there'll be some high spots right off the bat because you want to get the crowd into it and stuff, right? Bro, I just love the fact that Wagner got color right off the bat and was in peril. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good story. It's
right, you get him right immediately.
The guy's literally going to have to fight back from the first second the match has started. You know, and nobody. And bro, you try to tell guys to lay stuff like that out today, and they just don't want to do because they want to get their shit in. Right. It's like, no, hey, bro, I want him to jump you, and I want heat until the comeback.
Right.
You know, and it's not, but bro, when you're top guys, you can do that in a main event, and it tells a great story. Like he would try to fight back.
And
my favorite part was the hammer.
Yeah. All right, so let me give you a backstory on all of that real quick. So when they put Blue Demon and when I found out I had to work with Blue Demon, I had to work with Wagner. So you have two mega superstars who are legends, who I've both seen them go into diva mode with me and other promoters. I've seen them tell other bookers to go fuck themselves. Okay. You know, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I also had two guys that were very limited in what they could do in the ring. You know, all the smart fans, they hate their wrestling, right? And I'm like, bro, they're not going to give you a 5-star match. They don't have to. They're super over with the people, and they're going to tell a story. So when we started this, it was very hard because Blue Demon was still a face. And he wanted to kind of stay a face. So he was doing the old school, the heel light thing where he was still trying to get applause. And I had to sit him down. I go, there's only one way this shit's going to work. You've got to embrace being a heel. You can't be a subtle heel. We're going to turn you back one day. Until that day, I need heels. I don't have nobody gets heat. You're always telling me to work you strong. I'm about to work you strong. Do you confide in what I'm going to do? And he goes, yes, I do. So we did this long thing, and where, Dr. Wagner's son came in, building up to this, and Demon pile drove one of his sons, pile drove the other, beat the shit out of Wagner, got blood. We did all these things, fought into the crowd. We did all these things to make sure that we maintained their attention. The finish was originally going to be, the finish was originally going to be, he was going to put the brick on the floor, and he was going to hit him with a side slam onto the brick on his back, which is super devastating. But when we got the bricks were kind of hard. So we had to kind of soften them up. And I was like, you know what? He said, you know what? During the match, I'm going to decide if we're going to do it on the back because this is too hard, or if I'm just going to hit him over the head with it. So we also got the hammer because in my mind, I was like, look, if you bleed him, if you make him suffer, if you hit him with a hammer and he has to fight with one hand and then you still hit him with a brick, you had to basically kill this guy, but you still did it because you're a heel. And Wagner, you're going to get mega sympathy because when he said he was going to retire, the whole place was no. So it's really great. For them to trust me, to trust each other, and we were able to build this thing that culminated in a great finish. But just like you say, we got heat from the beginning. Get that blood immediately. Now the people are emotionally invested. Oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? And we never let them go after that.
Right. Yeah, that was good stuff. I was actually impressed with that.
I know you're mad that you don't have a lot of stuff to bury me at, but that's the way shit goes sometimes. Yeah.
But that was it was all right.
Kevin looked like a star.
Yeah.
Kevin Cross looked like a fucking star.
Yeah.
And off the air, I'm going to tell you that parlayed into something very positive. I'll tell you off the air, I can't.